Have you ever wondered what a film producer actually does? It's not all glamour and creativity. The truth is, being a film producer means managing chaos, making tough decisions, and delivering the finished film on time and on budget. It's not an easy task, but it is really rewarding when you get to the finished product. Nothing is possible without the producer. Before we go any deeper, just make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more behind the scenes insights. So let's dig in. Let's talk about something that confuses a lot of people in this industry. What does a film producer actually do? Because a producer is one of the most misunderstood credits in the film industry. Everybody wants the credit, and some people get it, and they didn't necessarily earn it in the same way as others. Very few people understand this responsibility. And if you're thinking about becoming a producer, you deserve to know the truth and the realities behind what this job actually is and how to succeed at it. The short answer is a producer is a person that takes the film from script to screen, not just creatively, but logistically, financially, legally, and strategically. There is a strategy to it, and most people rush into production without actually thinking about the final step, which is selling your film. If a movie gets made, it's because the producer made it happen. There is no film without the producer. And if it doesn't get made, it usually can be traced back to a problem in producing. Producers are the reason the film gets greenlit. Here's the part that no one really talks about. Many of you may already know that a producer's job starts long before the cameras roll. Before a single frame is shot, the producer has developed the script in a way that's going to get it greenlit. Now, if all you're thinking is about the green light and getting into production, you are missing a big aspect of producing, because the final aspect is getting it sold. So there's even more than just casting or finding a good director or vision. There is so much more behind it that needs to be considered that is often overlooked. And that's why a lot of films don't do the numbers they expect, right? So the producer is doing more than just saying, I love this script. That's where it starts. We all have a passion when we see a story and we want to get it told that is so important. But a producer, a savvy producer, has to think beyond just, I love this story, I want to get it made. They're asking the hard questions. Can this film get financed? Can this film get sold? Where does it fit in the marketplace? What's its potential? And then the producer has to think about, what does it take to make a film profitable? Most films are not profitable, unfortunately, but there is a strategy to make films that are profitable. And those are the career producers who strategically plan their film from day one. They structure the project in a way that the investors will say yes. They package it in a way that distributors can sell. They make sure that the budget aligns with reality. And they design a direct path from script to screen. That's what greenlighting really is. It's not just, ooh, we have the money, let's go into production. There are so many little things that a producer has to think about in order to get there. And when you're able to structure your project properly in a way that's set up for success, that helps you get the green light. But if you aren't thinking about distribution before you shoot, before you even go into production, you're missing out on a lot, and you may be setting your film up for not so favorable results. It may look good creatively, but will it do well on the market, and will it make back its budget? So that's just something you have to consider before you even get on set. And once a film is greenlit, the job doesn't really get any easier. Now the producer has to get the film through production on time, on budget, and deliver it in a way that the distributor can actually use. Which sounds easy, but that's where a lot of deals fall apart. And the investors assume some risk, but it's on the producer's shoulders. It's their responsibility for it all. But the producer carries the responsibility for the entire film. They're the ones that have to answer to the investors. They're the ones that have to deal with the distributors. They're the ones who see it from start to finish. Everything flows to the producer. Every decision, every problem, every outcome. The buck stops there with the producer. The producer is also the bridge between the creative and the business. The directors, they focus on the vision. They focus on the film they want to make. But the producers need the film to make sense creatively and financially. That doesn't mean the producers don't care about the creative. The best ones care deeply, but they understand something crucial. A film that cannot be finished, sold, and delivered is not a successful film. Producers navigate between the creative, the budget, the market, and the distributor. They're constantly translating between what the creative wants and needs and what the budget and the marketplace can actually support. They're the ones negotiating with agents, managers, investors, lawyers, and distributors. And when the creative and the business doesn't align, the producer has to say no, because producing is about decisions, hard ones. For instance, a director may want to do an amazing VFX scene, but if it's not in the budget, the producer has to say no. A director may want something creatively. They have a vision. It's not about raising more money. Budgets are designed around how a film will sell. Or at least strategically created budgets are. A sequence may sound incredible, but if it doesn't fit the budget, the producer has to tell the director to find another way. Because at the end of the day, as a producer, only two things matter: being on time and on budget. The producer job may seem tough, but they are the only ones ensuring the film gets done, that it's a quality film and that it gets done on time and on budget. So many films run over. So many films run over budget. They run late on time, and that impacts its film and its potential success. So many films fall apart in the middle because the producer didn't plan or wasn't hard enough to be able to keep the ship moving or keep it from going drastically over budget. I mean, most films do go over budget, but it's kind of inevitable. But you do have a contingency. So did you put a contingency in the budget? You should. And saying no is a big part of the producing job. That's just the bottom line. The producer is the one that has to say no. Even if the director wants something, even if it would make the film beautiful, sometimes the producer just has to say no. We can't accommodate it because we're going to go over on time or over on budget. Because the producer is thinking about that bridge between the creative and the business. Of course, they want an amazing film, but they have to think about that business aspect. This is the part that people romanticize and get wrong. They think the producer, I can just be a creative producer and show up and guide and support and make an amazing film. But they're not taking into account legal. They're not taking into account the distributor that's waiting. They're not taking into account the finances and what happens if you do go over budget and what does that mean for the investors you're on the hook for, right? So you have to think about those things, not just making a good film. You do want to think about making a good film, but you also have to have all these other considerations as well. A producer's job is not making everyone happy. And if you have a desire to make everyone happy, then being a producer will destroy you. Producers are the ones that say, we don't have money for that. We don't have time for that. It can be really hard when you two want to make the best film possible, but you're the bottom line. So you're the one that has to say, no, let's find another way. And there are creative ways to do things. Sometimes the best films and the best scenes come from a constraint. And so they have to figure out a creative way to shoot it. And it's one of the most memorable scenes ever. Don't let that stop you from creating something amazing. Just know that you have to keep things on time, on budget. Because just raising more funds and spending more isn't an option. If it sounds harsh, it's because producing isn't for the faint of heart. Everything is riding on them to bring this film in on time and on budget. And I keep saying it's on time and on budget, and it is really important. It's one of the key things about being a producer, because when you go for budget, everyone else still gets paid. The director gets paid, the crew gets paid, the stars get paid. The producer might not, and often doesn't. They're the ones that get paid last, if at all. Producers don't get paid for their time, they get paid for their stress. And that's assuming the film even makes money. Hopefully you're strategizing it and planning it so it makes money. And that's why you're being so hard to keep it on time and on budget. But not all films make money. Not all films are designed or set up to make money. And that's part of the producer's job, is to find a film that's going to be amazing and incredible, but also structure it so it has the best chance at success. And really, producing is the most thankless job on set. It's high stress, high risk, and often underpaid. A lot of producers will end up deferring their pay until after the film is sold. And if it doesn't make any money, I mean, that's the hard reality of being a producer, is you want to see this film get made. So what are you willing to sacrifice? Also, producers are the designated bad guy. Fire people, you manage egos, you deal with tantrums, sometimes from very famous people. When a star melts down, the producer is sent into the trailer. When an agent is stalling, the producer has to apply pressure. When the lawyer's not responding, the producer has to call them out. You have to do whatever it takes to get this film made. Producers have very strong wills, and that's really one of the only ways to get a film done. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get this film finished, because there is so much riding on the line, and it's up to you. It's no one else's job. You know, the crew at the end of the day isn't thinking about the finished film. They're excited to be on set and do their job. You know, director thinks about it creatively, but no one but the producer is thinking about it from beginning to end in the same way, or being answerable to investors or distributors. So that's why this is such an intense job. It's interesting, my co-founder, Mark Klebanoff, who's an indie producer and global sales agent, says that producers are the cavalry and they're also the generals. They're the ones giving the orders, and they're also the ones on the front line taking all the hits. It's such an interesting job, but here's why being a producer matters. Nothing gets made without the producer. There are no movies, no performances, no jobs. From the PA to the director to the star, no one works unless the producer producer is successful at getting funded. By the time the crew and the stars show up on set, the producer has already won an entire war to get them there. And the production starts and the war continues. This is why the producer wins the Best Picture Oscar. The director's in charge of the film creatively, but the producer owns the film as a business. That means the producer assumes the risk, they manage the money, and they answer to investors and distributors. If the film is successful, everyone celebrates. If the film tanks, the producer is on the hook for it. If the film works, everyone celebrates. If it doesn't work, the producer has to answer for it. That's why the producer typically owns the biggest back end. It's not ego, it's just they were in it from the beginning and they put the most effort into having it succeed. They carried the responsibility from day one. They were there before the film existed, they built the path to get it made, and they're there until the final numbers close, which these days could be a long time off because there are lots of residuals, which is amazing. If you structure the film properly, you could be getting checks quarterly in perpetuity. And just to note, not all producers are the same. Let's have some clarification here because it does matter. When you see the words produced by on a screen, that's the principal producer. He or she is the head honcho, the head boss, the one in charge. Other producing credits mean different things. Executive producers usually have to do with the finance. Co-producers are usually a secondary creative role. Associate producers are usually like an apprentice producer. And a line producer runs a set, hires the crew, manages logistics. Now, you sometimes may also see additional producer credits. They are often given out as a courtesy to an actor or a person who helped get the film made. Now, you may also see other producer credits, and those are often a courtesy title that can be given to an actor who helped get the film made or another person who helped keep the film on track. But that doesn't mean that it is produced by. If you see produced by, that is the boss, and there usually is one, maybe two, but usually one big producer who is the boss. That's the person responsible from taking it from script to screen, from development to delivery. That's the producer we're talking about here in this video. The best producers balance business and creativity. There are some producers who only think about business, and there are some producers who only think about art. But the best producers understand both. They protect the creative vision and make sure the film can thrive in the current marketplace. If you want to learn what it takes to have your film thrive in the current marketplace, you should check out our Creative Producers Filmmaking Roadmap. In it, we walk you through the strategy that professional filmmakers use to fund, plan, and distribute profitable films without sacrificing vision. If you want to build a career, not just make a film once, you need to understand not just how to make a movie, but how to make one that's incredible, fundable, and sellable. Go grab it in the link below. The final truth, being a producer is brutal. It's not for the faint of heart. It's exhausting, it's thankless, it's hard, and most of the time, it's stressful. But if producers don't do this, no films get made. And when you do it well, when you actually deliver what you say you're going to deliver, the industry remembers. Agents call you back. Investors ask about future projects. Managers respect you. Distributors want to work with you on your next project. Because in an industry full of talkers, execution earns respect. That's the real truth about being a film producer. And if you're wired for it, it's one of the most powerful roles in filmmaking. It's the reason we have the movies that inspired us to get in this business in the first place. The ones we still remembered from our childhood, the ones that impacted us in adulthood, the ones that we still love today. At the end of the day, when the film hits the screen, it's worth it. And when it works, it doesn't just validate this effort, it sets you up to make your next film. And that's what builds a career. If you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe so you can get more up-to-date insights from our future videos. In our videos, we go deep into the parts of filmmaking that people usually don't talk about. The decisions, the trade-offs, and the business details that actually produce profitable films. We go deep into parts of filmmaking that most people don't talk about. The details, the decisions, the trade-offs, and the business realities that determine whether a film even gets made or whether it's successful. Most people don't talk about how to make a profitable film, but there is a strategy and there is a way, and there is a way to build a career. You just take one step and the next and the next. And if you'd like to learn more about what that takes, follow us, subscribe, hit the like, make a comment, let us know what you're passionate about and what you would like to be doing, and your career trajectory and what you're doing as a filmmaker currently. If you want to understand how the industry really works and how to build a career as a filmmaker, then this channel is for you, and we hope to see you in the next video.